If you have not already, please log into your preferred LLM. We know that there are more than these three, but these are typically the three that we just want to use for the example purposes of today. Between ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, which is enterprise through UDC, and then lastly, Gemini through Google. Next screen, please. So if you do not know who I am, I think I know most of you, but if you do not, my name is Julian King. I am our learning experience designer and our quality matters manager, and I'm here with my colleague.
Hi, everyone. I am Kit Patterson, and I am a learning experience designer with C.A.L. Welcome.
So our agenda for today is quite simple. We have about 6 things we want to get a chance to go through. First, an introduction, an icebreaker, backwards design overview, because that leads our course design processes, prompting for module creation, assessment and rubric creation, instructional materials, and survey and closing remarks. So for our icebreaker, if you could in the chat, if you could rate your AI skills from 1 to 5. So if you were in person, I would have you put a hand up, but because we are online, if you're in the chat, can you rate your AI skills from 1 to 5? 1 being that you are a beginner with this tool, 5 being that you are an AI expert and you have nothing new to learn. And I'll give you about 30 to 45 seconds for that.
There's someone what says 1. Dr. Went says 2. Galaxy A50 says 1. Tiffany, I think. Dr. Plummer says 3.
All right.
Okay. So we have a wide array of skills. I think I'm somewhere at a 3.5, 4.
Mm-hmm.
Kit, how about you?
I would say I'm right there with you. I'm definitely not a 5, still learning, but I have, experimented quite a lot. So.
And Grace, where do you see yourself?
I would throw myself at a 3 probably.
Okay.
There's a lot that I don't know still.
Yeah.
Spot on to that. So just a reminder for that, your LLM. So we will go ahead and jump into our backwards design overview and how that connects to what we're going to do today.
All right. So many of you, especially those who have worked with C.A.L, are familiar with backward design. It's a principle introduced by McTeague and Williams, 1998. It is an instructional method where educators start with the end goal in mind. So as you know, we start with the desired learning outcome, and we work backwards from there. That's why it's called backward design. So the process phases for this, there are 3 main phases. You identify your desired outcomes, establish assessments that align with those outcomes, and then you design learning activities and instructional materials that go with those assessments and outcomes. So this is how we do it at C.A.L. We start with our course and our module learning objectives. We then design our assessments based on those. How are we going to test that students have met these module learning objectives and course learning objectives? And we align rubrics with those assessments for grading purposes. And then we look at what kind of learning activities are going to support those assessments and rubrics. And finally, what instructional materials do we need to expose students to make sure that they can do those learning activities and complete those assessments successfully, thereby demonstrating mastery of their learning objectives. All right, so here's our question to you. Have you used AI to design any part of a course yet? Kind of interested in knowing, have you made any objectives using AI, text, anything? A little, we have yes, a lot, a little, no, but I plan to, and no, not at all.
So if you could for us, scan your QR code or go to slido.com, throw in our passcode or number, and just give us your answer to our poll. No, not at all. Okay. Well, we hope this will be a great time to put some of this in practice. And we'll give about 30, 35 seconds for this. We know it's a little, have to kind of navigate your way between 2 devices or something. Yes, a lot. Ooh, so we can't wait to ask you some questions as well. A little, okay.
Okay.
Awesome. I got about 15 more seconds for anyone still answering.
Thank you, because I'm new to Slido and I'm using multiple
Yeah.
devices. Thank you.
I knew it. I know when you do the QR code, you got to use two devices,
Yes,
your
yes.
phone, your laptop. So take your time. I understand.
Thank you.
Grace, can our people see us? Are we on our?
You are.
Yeah.
Well, you are, now Julian is.
Okay. All right, can we?
You guys are perfect now.
All right.
I slide back in one
Okay.
time.
Okay.
I like
All right.
like my close up. Okay, so while it's taking some time, so it looks like most people put that you've used AI a little bit in your design. And that may look like different things, maybe learning objectives, maybe trying to figure out the best way to create an assessment or learning activity, maybe looking for specific materials to support your instruction. So hopefully we'll be able to give you some tips through this prompt creation that kind of guide that AI use. And for those who have not used it at all, hopefully this will be a great chance to explore it and see what it can do for your instruction and for your students. So prompting for module creation. As most of us know about AI is called prompting. The better prompt you create, the better product AI can create for you. So when looking at module creation and course design, we've kind of had our recipe that these 5 components are important and critical when creating prompts in AI. Role, who do you want AI to be? Your task, what do you want it to generate? Your goal, ultimately, what is the ultimate goal of this task? Your tone and what is the output? What should the output look like? Who is the audience for this? And process, how do you want this to be accomplished? So our first component in prompting for module creation is the role. Who do you want AI to be? Typically in our space, we say that AI is an expert in course design principles, andragogy, which is adult learning theory and principles, and then insert field, whatever subject matter expert that you are technically teaching. For our example, we use English literature. So in AI, as you have your LLM open and you're typing this out, you should be typing this prompt into that space. You are expert in course design, andragogy, and choose the subject in which you want to create this prompt or want this prompt to create modules for.
But don't press enter yet.
Yes.
We're building out this prompt piece by piece. So please, type in, take a look at our slides, then continue to type, and then we'll let you know when we're gonna press generate and get the answers to this.
And we forewarn you now, this prompt is gonna be a tad bit lengthy. But once again, we say that because the more thorough this prompt is, the better product AI can create for you.
Yes. Okay. All right, so number 2 is the task. What do you want it to generate? So what do you need it to do for you? So we have an example here. Your task is to design course and module learning objectives for a blank week, asynchronous, synchronous course in a specific topic for a specific level of students. So we can see the example here. Your task is to design course and module level objectives for a 16-week asynchronous undergraduate English Lit course on the subject of BIPOC authors of the 20th century.
Give it a second.
Yeah, and because you are typing this out, we are going to slow down a little bit and give you a few seconds to type in what would be appropriate for your course that you would like to design out.
And if at any point we move too fast or you don't get a chance to fully get the prompt, please just unmute yourself, let us know, and we'll kind of pull it back to make sure that you get a full opportunity to type this in. That's fine. Yeah, so you can go in the chat. No, confuse yourself. And as you're doing the task and you're thinking about this, remember that all of this is customizable. You may not have a 16-week course. Some programs at the university are 8 weeks. Maybe you're thinking of building a summer course. Maybe that is a 6-week course. So all of these things are liable to change and they're customizable based on your specific subject field and a specific program.
In the chat too.
All right, so Grace has pasted this in the chat in case you want to copy paste and customize it for your particular course.
Perfect. We'll give about 15 seconds and I will jump to the next.
All right.
Doesn't feel as rushed to go.
Well, we have a lot of audience in English.
Go ahead, Grace, please. Thank you. So next you have your goal. What is the ultimate goal of this task? So the goal for this course is for students to master blank skills and their outcomes. This is a great space for what do you want the students to get at the end of this course? What skills do you want them to come out of this course with? What outcomes do you want them to meet based on this course? So our example, the goal for this course is for students to analyze the works of these authors and compare their writing styles and themes. And that is for our biopic authors in our English Lit class. But your course outcomes and skills obviously will be a bit different, so please take time to add this to your prompt and customize it as you see fit. And just kind of a side note, adding a goal to your prompt is more than just, can be used in more ways than just creating modules. When you're asking AI to create any kind of artifact for you, any kind of student-facing and or faculty-facing artifact, adding that goal will definitely help clarify the kind of product it creates for you, specifically if it needs to be student-friendly, if it needs to meet certain criteria. That's always a good piece to add to your prompts.
Question.
Yes.
Could the goal be, I know in some syllabi that there is an overview of the course, and then also in the Start Here module, sometimes there's a course overview. Could you copy and paste?
You absolutely could. Anything that you already have available to help build this out, any language in the syllabus, anything, you're welcome to copy paste into part of this prompt, as a part of this prompt.
The more information, the better.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to move on to number 4, which is tone. So what should the output sound like? And this is, of course, very important. Tone is always important. And oftentimes this is a step that is skipped when people prompt AI because they don't think about tone. So you're going to ask it to use a certain type of language and state what the purpose of using that language is supposed to accomplish. So, for example, use professional instructional language that supports clarity and logical scaffolding for undergraduate learners. You could also here specify what the reading level is of your learners, right? You could say 10th grade reading level, if you wanted to shoot for something understandable. Right, so I think Grace has dropped that in the chat for you.
And to that point, with the scaffolding for undergraduate learners, putting it at a 10th grade reading level is not a bad thing. Remember that when you're creating these things, you want students to be able to digest it and absorb that information. So whichever way makes it easiest for them is something you should always be considering when creating any kind of artifacts that are going to be student-facing.
Right, and of course, as you're building out your course, if your goal is, for example, as an English literature instructor, your goal might be to take students from being able to read a certain at a certain grade level to a certain other grade level. And you can, of course, scaffold that into your course as well. And you can tell the AI to be certain that it does that as
I'm
well.
gonna slow down the pace.
Okay, we're slowing down the pace just a little bit based on your feedback. So thank you very much.
So to this point, you know, when we talk about your prompts, you should have your role in place. What is the role of the AI? What is the task and what you would like AI to do? What is the goal? Look at this. I'm ready to start reading the team. What is the goal that you want AI to accomplish with this task? And what is your tone? What is the audience? Who's the audience? What should this sound like when creating this artifact? Please take 30 seconds to 45 seconds to have do what you need to do, get your prompt in order. I know some of you are probably pulling up syllabus and trying to copy and paste certain information in, so please take your time. This is a working session. We want you to work. So we understand that takes a bit of time, so it's okay. And if you have any questions, and I'm sorry we may not have said this, if you have any questions throughout this, as we kind of go through this, please don't hesitate to raise your hands, come off mute, and ask it. Me and Kit will be more than happy to answer anything or any questions maybe why we're doing the way the approach we're doing. Please feel free.
Yes. Hi, Julian. This is Tiffany.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm taking all of this in. I'm really new to AI. Mainly I'm teaching in the community, my workshops and 15-hour certificate courses. So I'm just trying to see how I can utilize AI more in what I present. I recently updated one of my certificate courses where I'm teaching about vegetables, and I had AI and I was just so amazed to look for some pictures of vegetables, and AI generated vegetables for me, and I was just like, I don't want to say freaked out, but it was yeah, I'm still kind of speechless, but I could tell it was AI generated once, when I really looked at the tomatoes and the broccoli, but it was so close to, an actual picture. It was kind of scary. Oh, well, excuse me. So with that being said, I'm just trying to see how I can really incorporate AI in more into what I do. So right now I'm just kind of listening.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. So we're taking you down the road of backward design, but these prompts, the 5 things that we're taking you through can be used for anything you want to prompt AI for. So thinking about all 5 of these, the role, the task, the goal, the tone, these can be used for any application of AI. I mean, you could ask it to make a financial plan for you and use these same things. And some of us have. You could ask it, almost anything using these same 5 prompts. We're taking you down the course design road, but as you're thinking out your certificate courses and as you're thinking about how to use AI generally for even picture prompting, as you did, you could use these. Like tone would, for example, maybe translate to aesthetic rather than tone. Like what style do you want it to be in?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. It does. But I still am new to this and just, trying to process it all and make sure it's my authentic work as well.
Right. Right. And the thing is about specifically for course design, we're trying to get it to give us a template, something we can work off of to put our own voice on top of. We're not trying to get it to do everything for us necessarily. We want to see what its ideas are, and of course we need our human eye and our human voice to flesh it out and to make it real for our students.
Mhm.
All right.
Yes.
Are we hello? Do we have someone else?
Pat, are you, okay, there we go. He did it.
I thought, is there a question?
It just quickly to add to Kid's piece that, when we talking about the course development space, course mapping is a long, lengthy process. Most people on the call, most at some point, even with certificate course, you've had to map out your course. What do you want to cover in so many weeks? What is their assessment process going to look like? What are their activities going to look like? What book, what articles, what resources am I going to use to help students meet that goal? And it's typically a very lengthy process. It's something that takes sometimes months at a time. So this kind of allows you to fast track that to at least get a template, a working template, as Kid said. So we have at least a starting point. And then we can go back and add our voice and add our vision to it without necessarily having to start from scratch.
All right. I think we might be okay to move on to number 5, our last one.
Perfect. So number 5, process. How do you want this accomplished? So once again, we're talking about a course map here. We're mapping out a course. This could look, like I said, this could look different for your course. But our process, write 7 to 10 course learning outcomes using measurable action verbs. Next, outline the course by creating 1 module per week, each with a descriptive title and 2 to 5 specific module learning outcomes. And a clear alignment between our weekly and or module learning outcomes and the corresponding course learning outcomes. One big thing, before you begin, take some time to think about it. Let me know if there's any information you need before you begin this process. What we put in bold is not for you. That is for the chat. That is for you to type in to the LLM or to the AI chatbot for this purpose of course design.
Right. And so we've taken this, as you're all typing this out, or Grace is going to put in the chat for you all. What we took this was from all of these tips. There's from a book called Teaching with AI that we read through our C.A.L book club. And this was a really fascinating part about it, is that it said, and I think this is still true in the newest iteration of, for example, ChatGPT-5, which actually does adjust its own thinking time now. It used to be it would spit you out an answer in like 2 seconds, no matter what. Now you'll notice that that chatbots are taking longer or shorter times. However, I still think it's important to tell it, take your time to think about this, because actually you'll get a better output from it. And then also, let me know if there's any information you need before you begin this process. Allows the AI to interact with you much as our course designers would, so that we can ask the questions we need to ask you before we begin helping you design out your course. That's what you're doing for the AI. You're saying for the chatbot, please ask me any questions you need, or tell me what information you need before you start.
Absolutely. So we'll take about 45 seconds to a minute for you to get this prompt down, to tailor it the way you need to tailor it for your own course. And then we will tell you the next step.
It's okay, Julie.
Excited for AI. I'm sorry, everybody. And if you've already done this, if you've already finished your prompt, please feel free to press enter now. I know it feels like time never comes, we'll tell you that. But please feel free to generate. If you're still working, please take another 25 to 30 seconds.
Generate.
If you're ready.
If you're ready. Go back once, Chris.
Oh, go back. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Please, anybody first.
Oh, sorry.
Nope.
I told her to go for.
They're in the chat.
Okay.
Everything.
Check.
Chat.
Oh, and everything's in the chat too?
Everything's in the chat, by the way. Thank you to Grace. That's a perfect name because you're so graceful.
Full of grace for us as we ask you to type these things out and put them in the chat.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump forward to generate. One more. So once you press enter and you generated this, your LLM may have questions for you, may or may not. If it has any questions for you, typically those questions will be kind of specify some of the details you provided it. Please answer the questions it asks you, then click enter again.
Right. A lot of times it will also enumerate the questions. So in order to answer, you can just type in the number of the question that you're answering. So it'll say one, what specific year are these students?
Mm-hmm.
Freshman through senior. Then you can say one, junior. And it also will fill in a lot of the gaps for you. So you do not have to type in full sentences. Just give it the shortest answer you can give it. And it's okay to have typos.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you spell it wrong, it understands. I had to learn that firsthand. So we'll go ahead and give him another 35, 40 seconds while you answer questions. Please take your time. Do not hesitate to flag us down if we are moving too fast.
And if anyone's finished with this step, I would love it if you wanted to share what questions you did get from the AI. I'm always interested in knowing what is it saying to you.
Thanks, Chris. So while you're waiting, while you're finishing up, this is what that whole prompt potentially will look like. Once again, we did say it was going to be kind of a lengthy prompt, but we want it to be as detailed as possible for ChatGPT or for any AI model that you're using, and it more than likely still had questions for you, considering how detailed we thought we were putting this prompt together. But if you've already generated and it asks you questions of any sort, please feel free to unmute, share any of the questions it asks, anything you may have got out of that process, or even the product that it created for you.
Okay, Dr. Went has put something in.
Perfect. So Dr. Went, we see your questions that asked you about student population. Are these students undergraduate, majors, preparing for licensure, general education, or open to all? Institutional context, are there any institutional or programmatic standards that should be reflected in the course outcomes? Assessment types, do you envision a mix of assessments, papers, presentations, field work, exams? Are there any signature assignments that must be included? Course format, you mentioned face-to-face, will there be any online components? And then thematic emphasis. Should the course emphasize any particular themes, equity, policy, historical foundations, culturally responsive pedagogy?
Dr. Plummer also says, thank you for helping me with developing an online course syllabus. This is great.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
We love it. But
This tool is just so incredibly helpful.
mm-hmm.
It really is.
And once again, this is just a starting. This just helps us get started. AI is a great tool to ID. And sometimes all those thoughts about what you want to do in a course may not necessarily be there immediate. Or they may be all spaced out and you're trying to connect them. This is a great tool to help.
Right. Okay, so I do want to mention here before we, move on, and we're still going to give you, plenty of time, but I want to mention that in doing this prompting process, if you also were really rushed for time and you didn't want to think about individual assessments just quite yet, you could also tell it to plan out engaging learning activities and assessments for each module and put those in the chart. But for the purpose of this, we're going to get into kind of how would you prompt for specific assessments for the purpose of this. However, you know, some people just want to have it all done, all in their course map first thing. So you could definitely tack that on to the previous prompt if you wanted.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. Thank you, Dr. Wynn, Dr. Plummer.
Absolutely.
Throwing that information to the chat. Just kind of adds on to the thinking piece and making sure that you are more specific you are about what you want, the better product it creates for you. In lieu of time, we'll jump into assessment and rubric creation. So essentially, as we think about the assessments, because once you, like we said in our backwards design, you think of your course learning outcomes, your course and module learning outcomes, then you think automatically of your assessments. How do I assess whether my students are meeting these learning outcomes? And similar to the prompt we just created, we continue using this kind of 5-pronged approach to create our prompt so that it successfully aligns with our learning objectives. Leaders. So first, once again, our role. We revisit our role. So when you were thinking of course design, there was an expert course designer in course design principles and andragogy. But for this specific piece, we're thinking of assessment. So our role, you are a professor of such and such field, and you're an expert in authentic assessment design for your field. And we're very particular on authentic because we want students to see the type of assessments and see the type of tasks, that they will see in their daily careers once they leave UDC. So want the assessments to be as authentic as possible to their field. For those waiting, Grace is patiently typing that into the chat. So I'll give you about 30 to 45 seconds as you're typing this out, tweaking it to fit you, and it will also be in the chat shortly. I owe you a coffee, Grace.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's coffee associates. It's on me.
She knows me too well.
Wonderful. We'll jump into our next component.
All right. So as before, now we've done the role. Now we want to move into tasks. So what do you want it to generate? I'm going to go ahead and read the example here. And you can, of course, read the places that you can customize this for yourself. All right. So the example. Create an authentic assessment for a higher education course module that is meaningful and a real-world task that aligns with and measures the following MLOs. So very important here is that alignment piece. So since we are doing backwards design, we already have our MLOs for this module, our module learning objectives, and we want to make sure that this assessment hits those MLOs. That's the task. The authentic assessment has to hit those MLOs. You can put the, module title, the course title, the level of the course, and then the module learning objectives.
We'll go ahead and give you about another 45 seconds to a minute to copy this down and tweak this and that to see a prompt. Once again, do not press enter. We are creating an entire prompt. We will tell you when you can do that.
And before we move on, I do want to also say, maybe you want a choice Maybe you don't want an authentic assessment. Maybe you want it to design 5 ideas for an authentic assessment.
Mhm.
So, be specific with your task. If you just want a baseline assessment so that you can tweak it, or if you want different choices, it can be as creative as you are in terms of your prompt creation. So please feel free to experiment.
Absolutely. Please experiment. So you'll be amazed at some of the ideas that we'll come up with that you may not even have thought about for how you can assess student learning.
And part of the previous prompt, it was asking about course modality, partially because it needs to know what the assessment mode will be as well.
Yeah.
Because, you might want to tell it that it's going to create an online assessment, right? Or it's going to create a
Face-to-face presentation.
Yes, it has to be a presentation prompt.
Mhm. Please feel free to take 30 more seconds to finish this piece and then we will move on. Thank you. So we will shift gears to our third piece. Once again, we're thinking of tone. What is the ultimate goal? Oh, I said tone. Oh, excuse me. What is the ultimate goal of this task? And I'll go ahead and read from our example. The goal of this task is to require learners to apply the knowledge and skills gained in the module to a realistic scenario or a task that mirrors challenges they may encounter in a professional context. So, and that professional context will obviously looks different when we're talking about education, or we're talking about nursing, or we're talking just in different fields. So please consider that when you are kind of editing that piece. What does that real world context necessarily look like? Is it clinical, community, academic, so on and so forth? And you have about 45 seconds to a minute for this as well.
I think Grace is working on putting it in the chat.
Grace is killing the chat. If you want to hire Grace for your chat for your webinars,
Keyword hire.
we offer a very, very reasonable fee. Starbucks coffee works.
Exactly. Be bribed.
I can be bribed to do webinars.
AI doesn't care about my spelling mistakes either.
It really doesn't.
Well, that's what AI works for spelling, but for math, you have to put something, you have to put a problem in correctly for it to work
Oh
correctly.
yeah, true. Didn't think about that.
Picture.
A different letter matters in that.
Different letter matters in math, and pictures don't always work. I bet to have that conversation as well. That AI may not necessarily be able to read your image, or it may take one symbol and think it's something else. So it's a bit harder to put in mathematical equations for them. Yeah, I think we will move into our fourth.
All right, so number 4, as before, is tone. What should the output sound like? Who is your audience? So here we have, use clear, warm, student-facing tone set at a 12th grade reading level, or a 10th grade reading level, or an 8th grade reading level, whatever you believe is going to be the most clear and appropriate for your students. A 14th grade reading level.
So that's a college sophomore.
Uh-huh.
13, 14, 15, 16. So college senior, 16.
Okay, this one's a little shorter than the rest. But before we move on, is there anybody who needs us to slow down just a little bit? Anybody still typing in? Just let us know in the chat. If you need a little bit of time. Okay. Or raise your hand.
Yeah.
All right.
I understand that some of you are multitasking through many different things you're working on and kind of being here, being attentive. So we deeply appreciate your participation and bear with us throughout all of this. Lastly, last but not least, your process. How do you want this accomplished? So for your assessment, for this assessment, write instructions that outline the purpose of the assessment, deliverables, format, and submission expectations. Provide a simple rubric and table format evaluation criteria based on the stated learning objectives. Focus on key performance indicators such as application of knowledge, problem solving, creativity, communication, and use of evidence and/or tools. Once again, before you start, review best practices in authentic design and ask me for any information you might need to make the assessment better. Take your time to create the best result. Once again, prompt an AI to take its time and to ask if it has any clarifying information to make this the most robust assessment it can be. Please take a minute or so to get this and tweak this to your need. It is also being put in the chat shortly. If you notice about the prompt, though, we were trying to be very thorough for the deliverables. What should students submit? What format should students submit it in? And what are those submission expectations? That will help to create student-friendly instructions. So students aren't asking you, hey, what do I do? How do I submit this? What are my expectations? Try to make this as explicit as possible. And as student-friendly as possible.
Once again, if you wanted to make this, we've talked about this being a rapid course design. If you wanted to make this broadly applicable to all 16 modules, you could say something such as, design this for each of the 16 modules, scaffold up to a midterm and a final assessment. Breaking down the assessments into smaller parts along the way. Things like this can be done to really rapidly iterate out your assessments and your rubrics. We just wanted to focus on a single assessment and a single rubric, mostly because, that's kind of the way that I work. I like to do it assessment by assessment and really think about what it's aiming for and how the students are going to experience it. And I think that a lot of us have that similar process. But again, if you're in a tight time crunch and you really need to have these in line, or at least have ideas for these assessments, you can do this more rapidly by prompting it to do it for all 16 modules at the same time.
Absolutely.
You're just going to get a massive text back. You could ask it to create a Word document for you if you didn't want it to all be in the chat itself. But it's going to come back at you with a lot. So just be prepared if that's the route you go.
We'll add about 30 more seconds to that, and then we will move. But if you've already completed this and you have added this piece to your prompt, please feel free to generate. If you are still working, you have about 30 seconds, and then we'll shift slides. And it's also in the chat now, thanks to Grace.
Yes, thank you, Grace.
I don't think I need a typing course.
There you go. Okay. All right, we'll do type of course. No, this is for the keyboard from us. Nice. Okay, in lieu of time, we will jump to generate and then one more slide from the Grace. So you should have clicked generate at this point, or you are currently clicking generate. If it asks you any questions, once again, answer the questions it asks you. This is just to ensure that it is as specific as possible when creating your assessment. Please feel free after you answer your questions or before, if you want to throw them in the chat, so we can kind of see what kind of questions it asks you. Please feel free.
I'm also interested in a kind of pulse check here. Who, has this been helpful for you so far? Because this has been a lot. We have taken you very rapidly through this, but have you? What has the output been like for you? Has the chatbot given you something useful?
You got
I
very,
think it's the
very
question.
helpful in the chat.
Okay, awesome.
And just for disclaimer, as you're working through this, as Kit said, this is rap. You said rapping in the beginning. It was kind of meant that way. This is kind of why it was built so quickly or presented so quickly. But if there are anything from here that you would like to dive into more or explore deeper, if you want to ask us questions, feel free. We have our information at the end, but a lot of you already know us. Please feel free to reach out to us via email. We're more than happy to help, more than happy to virtually meet, sit through, talk through some of this with you, and even explore even more if that's what you would like. Dr. Songbird, you're still at level 1. All right, Dad. You're still at level 1.
It's very sad, but this has been very helpful to me.
No, it's fine, but it's a learning experience for us all. It's even though we use AI as frequently as we do, we still are learning every bit of the way.
Absolutely.
So please never feel like you are just far behind. It's a learning process. AI is continually improving month by month, week by week.
And if you kind of take away nothing else, just those five points for any prompt that you want to write, those are a great way to dive into really any prompt for any subject, anything you want to do. You can start with those roles. And of course, the great thing about asking AI to ask you any questions that it needs in order to fill in the information is you don't have to feel, like you need to put everything in there all at once. You can be supported by the chatbot in being a better prompter, and you can be supported in the chatbot by just having it prompt you to give more information that it needs. So those are the key takeaways, hopefully, that you've got with you. Even at level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, these are all helpful.
So we'll so just for a little part, we'll kind of speed through this last couple slides. So to the backwards design perspective, we covered course learning objectives, module learning objectives. We just talked about how you would build those assessments based on those learning objectives. As Kit spoke to us earlier, that same prompt can be used for the learning activities, whether you embed that directly into your prompt or you want to create a separate prompt per learning activity, per module, or per course. You can use those same steps, and then we will jump into these instructional materials.
Awesome. Okay.
So steps 1 through 3 for our instructional materials. First, you want to choose the right tool.
Can I interject for just a second?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So for instructional materials, we're taking a bit of a different tack because we don't need it to necessarily write us instructional materials. What we are interested in is kind of, seeing how it can help us to collate and to accumulate instructional materials. So sorry, go ahead, take it away.
No, she's absolutely right. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to say that. This is helping us find those instructional materials that best align to our course. It's not creating anything. So first you want to choose the right tool. ChatGPT has other GPTs, Scholar GPT that helps with research, Elicit, Perplexity, Research Rabbit, Semantic Scholar. These are just a few, but they are research-driven AI tools that help find peer-reviewed scholarly articles and journals. Then for AI, you want to ask for the type of content you want, whether it's videos, articles, infographics, OER resources, or abstracts. One thing about finding videos on AI, remember it does hallucinate from time to time. So if it gives you a YouTube link, please make sure to check it to make sure that video is actually there. It's hallucinated a few times to me. And the big thing, number 3, give it context and alignment. The best way to get instructional materials that align to what you are looking for is by plugging in those learning objectives, those assessments or rubrics, and those learning activities. Because then you can ensure that your instructional material is directly aligned and will help students meet those goals.
Perfect. Okay, I think we can go ahead and move on to the next one.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Okay, so as always, just a reminder, as we're going through instructional materials, as Julian said, AI does hallucinate. So checking those links, checking for the credibility of the source. If it gives you a PDF, you still have to check for the accessibility. And of course, the right to use whatever it gives you, you might not know, so checking for that license. And then you can use AI to help evaluate quality or bias. You can ask it to do a self-check of itself, and it'll generally tell you, yeah, I made it up. Or no, I got it from this other place, and you can, of course, do your own check on quality and bias as well for any resource that it gives you. And then number 5, this is kind of one of my favorite ways to use AI in instructional materials. You can actually use AI to create vibe coding, so HTML components, interactive matching, crosswords, etc. You can embed directly into your instructional materials as a knowledge check, etc. And or you can make those like LinkedIn reels that you click through and it has little frames and images to give someone more information. You can make those in ChatGPT as well, or in a chatbot. So I like to embed those directly into the modules. And then you can also ask AI to generate, you can put a PDF in there that you want students to read, and you can ask AI to generate a summary of it for you to put in the LMS to introduce the article. So you can ask it for introductory and connective text as well. But of course, we fully recommend transparency. If you're going to use AI in this way, please do let your students know that you're using AI in this way. I usually put a note at the top of the course telling all the ways that AI has been used to generate content or to make interactive content, etc. We want our students to be transparent about AI. We want them to cite their use of AI. So I believe that it's great to model that as well when we use it.
And just a side note to the vibe coding and creating those engaging interactive features in our course design, Kit will be leading a presentation on that for our faculty learning community in course design on October 27th. That's the last Monday of this month. She will be leading a presentation with that. So if you are interested in that, you will get an email later this week for your invite. Please accept. I will add that into the invite, but I had to throw that in there.
Thanks, Julian. Thanks for the shout out. I appreciate it.
So here are just a few other AI research assistants. Philo.ai, we talk about Research Rabbit, Elicit, Semantic Scholar, and Consensus. These are just a few of many tools. There are many tools you can use for research. These are just the ones that we may have explored before or we've had a chance to kind of dabble with at certain conferences. But please feel free to screenshot this, try this at your own expense. Not at your own expense.
On your own time. Take your time.
It's time to get to the end.
All right.
So with that being said,
Yeah.
uh,
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
please fill out our survey. Please, you know how we are about our surveys. We got to get our data, so we can make sure we're doing things that our UDC faculty want and need in their space. But once again, thank you. All this will be recorded. And if you have any questions for us, Julianne.Kane at UDC, Catherine.Patterson at UDC.edu, please feel free to email us. We're more than happy to help.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate you.